Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/spookshow. Then go over to morbidlybeautiful.com, as we are now part of the Morbidly Beautiful Podcasting Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt our program of dance music to bring you a special bulletin.
Officials have declared a state of emergency. Everybody they kill gets up and kills. Residents are advised to find a safe place and stay there.
Execute Code Red.
The Doomsday Machine.
We celebrate our Independence Day.
Hello and welcome to the latest edition of the All-American Spook Show. I'm Josh, and I'm joined here with Donnie.
Yo.
And the Professor Smoke.
What's up?
Will's on assignment. He couldn't make it. And it's unfortunate because this is really the official kickoff of the Spookshow Summer Disaster. I guess, well, maybe it's more appropriate to call it kind of the unofficial kickoff, because today we're just going to be previewing what's coming this summer, like what movies we're going to be watching and everything that we're going to be doing. And this is a whole crossover event. It's a multiverse of madness here all summer here on the Spook Show, because we're going to cross over from the podcast over to a couple of our YouTube series, over to the stuff on Patreon, like the Library of the Professor and all that stuff. So we got lots to talk about, lots to preview for you. We've only hinted so far at what is to come this summer, and now we're finally going to lift the curtain and tell you everything, pretty much everything that we're going to be doing. We still got a few things that are kind of left out there in the ether, but that's just because there are specific reasons for that, and we'll get into it. But basically what the entire point of all this is that all summer long, between now and mid-August, we'll wrap it up on episode 174. So that one doesn't come out until August 21st. So basically between now and August 21st, pretty much everything we do will have something to do with a disaster, in the sense of, like, it's an alien invasion, it's a natural disaster, it's a post-apocalyptic event, zombie hordes. I mean, you name it. Basically, if this happened in real life, it would be classified as a fucking disaster. So it's not just Twister, and it's not just, that type of thing, but we're kind of crossing the streams, which is dangerous, I hear, right, Don?
Nice. Tell them about the Twinkie.
Yeah. So, like I said, this is kind of the unofficial start, but we'll really kick it off in earnest next week with episode 163, Godzilla, King of the Monsters, from 1956. It's not necessarily the first Godzilla movie. This is like the American re-edit, right, Smoke, of Godzilla?
Yeah, with more Raymond Burr, or not that there was any Raymond Burr.
Yeah. I think it's less political satire type of thing that was going on in Japan at the time. They pulled that out of it and then threw in a bunch of Raymond Burr. But that's the version that we're going to be watching, and that's actually my pick, because we're still sticking with our normal rotation of our picks. So I got the honor to pick the movie that's going to kick off the Spookshow Summer Disaster. So that's what we'll be watching next week. So I'm really looking forward to that. Then over on YouTube, right after that, the first YouTube series that's involved in the Summer Disaster series, Grindhouse Gutter number 12, Zombie, from 1979. And I believe, Smoke, this is the first time we'll do anything by Lucio Fulci, right?
Yeah, surprisingly enough, we've been doing this show for how long? 4 years? Maybe more?
Almost 5 years, October.
Yeah.
5 years.
And we've not got around. We've only done one RJ. Well, it's kind of because I think, we'll see what happens if Will won't be probably going to this necessarily for Grindhouse Gutter, but
yeah,
Josh recently watched a Fulci movie that we know we do need to pull into the show at some point, because I've seen it and Josh has seen it. And we kind of want to get Donnie and Will's perspective on it. Yeah. I don't think it's going to win Will over to the Italian horror genre than Suspiria. In fact, I suspect you'll like it less.
I'm not sure. Even Zombie might pull him in, maybe, but I don't see it. I don't know. That that's probably one of the biggest reasons why we haven't done more Italian flicks, is because we know what we've really only done Suspiria and
Demons.
Demons, right?
Well,
I think
yeah,
can't
Argento, yeah.
I can't think of another one that we've done.
Big Cannibal Holocaust and a couple of some post-apocalyptic ones maybe.
Well, yeah.
Oh yeah, we did 1990, The Bronx Warrior.
Yeah,
That was a tie.
I forget, the crossover between Grindhouse Gutter and everything. Yeah, we have done a couple there. So, but yeah, here on the podcast proper, I think just those two movies. Yeah, but and this one also will be a YouTube series too. So it's going to be Zombie from 1979, the classic by Lucio Fulci. Basically, pretty much right around the same time, we'll be releasing our latest Patreon video minisode, number 78. And that one, that library segment that we do, the Library of the Professor that we do on that one, you've already chosen that to be Stephen King's massive novel, The Stand.
Yeah, the massive one is in the unexpurgated, uncut version that was kind of re-released. Then we'll get into that with that particular episode, but yes.
Yeah, you don't ever want to miss those. We do those every month over on Patreon, where Smoke will pick something from his vast library. And that is video, by the way, over there on Patreon. So you get to see something from his vast library, whether it be, an album, DVD, all types of different formats of movies, DVD, VHS. You've done just about everything as far as like format
even
wise.
CDs, capacitance electronic discs, I believe.
Yeah.
CEDs, laser discs, and vinyl, and
all
I
kinds
don't think
of
I've done a
stuff.
cassette tape on there yet.
So yeah, this will be a book that we'll be talking about, not the movie The Stand, but the book, the original book by Stephen King. So you want to check us over on patreon.com/AASpookShow for that one coming up, basically next week. Then we'll stick around over on YouTube for our next Video Vortex. And this is only the third, because we rotate now. I think we've kind of got our pattern down with Video Vortex. We're rotating it now with another new series that we have, Traumatic Experience. Now, I will add Hammer Horror in order, Traumatic Experience, which you see both of those over on YouTube. They will not be affected by the Spookshow Summer Disaster, just by the nature of what those are. Those won't be affected. That's kind of regularly scheduled programming going on there on YouTube. And then also we're going to be moving, sometime probably this month or next, we're going to be moving Spookshow Rewind over to Patreon. And that will be audio only. So little programming note there. So if you're looking forward over on YouTube, that's going to be moving over to Patreon pretty soon. But also, obviously, because of what Spookshow Rewind is, that won't be affected by the Summer Disaster either. And one more programming note, Cannon Fodder is going to go on hiatus until Labor Day. Basically, just because we couldn't find any Cannon movies that we felt met the criteria of the Summer Disaster. So we're just going to kind of put a pin in it, not waste anybody's time there with with something like Hot Chili again. And
yeah, well, that's a Summer Disaster on its own. Like if we did Hot Resort, what kind of disaster?
If only we hadn't done Hot Chili, we could have saved it for the Summer Disaster because it would have fit. But no, that's going to go on hiatus until Labor Day. So just a few programming notes there. If you're looking for some of this stuff, that's what's changing there. But anyways, this will be the third edition of Video Vortex that we do. And Donnie, this is going to be an awesome one. Cruel Jaws from 1995.
Oh, that's going to be a fun one. I'm looking forward to that one. Because I haven't even seen that all the way through. I've seen clips of it here and there, but I haven't seen it in its entirety. So, and it's absurd, absurd Jaws ripoff.
That's kind of the half of the point of Video Vortex, though, isn't it? It's absurd. The other half of the point is it kind of has to meet the criteria of released on video or like say straight to television or something like that. It has to be kind of that. It has to meet that. It didn't necessarily have a first run in a theater kind of thing. So that's kind of the gimmick over there. But then we return here in the next 2 weeks, episode 164 on the podcast. This will be one of the ones that replaces what would have been Cannon Fodder. We're going to be watching Don't Look Up from 2021. Now, I think that was a Netflix release, and I still haven't watched that yet, although I know the cast is crazy. It's like Leonardo DiCaprio, Meryl Streep. It's like a who's who. But I've heard good thing, and I think it was actually even nominated for some Oscars, although I don't think it won any. So another rare air thing there where we've actually got an Oscar-nominated film that we're going to be checking out. So I'm looking forward to that. Have either of you guys seen Don't Look Up?
I have not.
So then we go to episode 165, and we're going to be talking about, Donnie, this is your pick, from 2010, The Book of Eli.
Yeah.
Now, I saw that one back when it came out, but I haven't seen it. I think I only saw it the once, so it's been since 2010 So I'm kind of looking forward to checking that out again, see if it holds up.
Yeah, I've seen it a couple of times. Yeah.
That's a
It's,
different.
it's still good.
Saw it once in the theater back when it came out. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well.
Yeah.
That's once again a different type of disaster because this is like after something has already happened, right? It's post-apocalyptic in a sense. Like I don't remember what happened, but something happened, nuclear war, something like that, right? And this is kind of like the wasteland afterwards, and there's a whole storyline about that. So yeah, that one's, and it's Denzel Washington. I think that's the first Denzel movie we're going to have here on the out of his 100-something movies.
Yeah, there's a lot of considering. I mean, not to go down a rabbit hole or anything, but considering we've been almost 5 years in, we haven't done. Now Quentin Tarantino doesn't make horror movies, so our first 4 years were all horror, pretty much, right?
Yeah.
But we haven't done any Eli Roth movies, have we?
Well, no, we did the Green Inferno.
Oh, we did the Green Inferno. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we haven't done any like monster movies like Godzilla, right? This is the first kaiju big monster movie.
Yeah.
We've never done one. So there's the first.
Yeah, there's.
By the way, I was going to say Cruel Jaws was the first, but no, Cruel Jaws, it might be the first for that silly movie, but it's not the first time we've done a Jaws movie. We did the original Jaws all the way back in episode 35. So if you want to go searching through the archives, that's where you can find some connection to that. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of firsts. It's a good point. Here's another one. Well, no, I'm sorry. This is a second. I was going to say this is the first Stanley Kubrick movie we've watched, but it's the second because we watched The Shining all the way back in episode 33. But for episode 166, Cult Corner, we're going to be watching Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. One of the most awesome titles ever put to film. So we're going to have our second Stanley Kubrick movie. What do you think about that?
It's going to be fun. I haven't seen that movie in forever.
Yeah, same.
It's been a long time since I've seen it.
Yeah. It's probably been 20 years since I watched that movie, so I'm looking forward to that.
And more for me.
And it's got one
definitely
of the,
at least.
Yeah, probably more for
cooler,
me.
It's got one of the cooler classic trailers. Go check that out. It's a cool trailer for that one. Very unique.
Yeah.
Right after that, I think it's that following Friday, will be the next installment in Crapster Peace Theater. Now, of course, we don't know what that's going to be because the polls have not closed just yet. But I can, as you're listening to this, you have until midnight tonight to go vote. So you still have an influence as we talk about this on what that will be. And here's your 4 choices. Disaster movie from 2008. Left Behind the movie from 2000. 2020 Texas Gladiators from 1983. And Metal Tornado from 2011. That must have came out around the same time as Sharknado when everything was fill in the blank NATO. So it's literally what you think. It's a metal tornado. And it looks like shit. And it stars Lou Diamond Phillips. Need I say more?
And it looks like shit.
So yeah, you got until midnight tonight as you listen to this. If you're listening to this after May 31st, well, no, actually, I'm fucking that all up. What's today? Today is May 29th. So actually, you got until Wednesday night at midnight. For some reason, I always think Memorial Day is on May 31st. I don't know what the fuck. You have until Wednesday night at midnight, May 31st. If you're listening to this in June, you're shut out of luck. Polls have closed. But there's your 4 choices. So you can help influence that. You can still influence the crap that we have to watch at the end of June. Episode 167 comes out on July 4th. And what more perfect way, Smoke, you chose this one.
Oh, yeah.
To celebrate July 4th. And what's the selection?
Independence Day. Might as well do it big, right?
Yeah, it seems like we flirted with doing this one before around the 4th, and it just never worked out.
Yeah.
Especially...
Yeah, I'm glad it didn't, because this is more apt on the Summer Disaster.
This is perfect. Because like last year we did, our summer series was Camp Spook Show, all summer camp movies. And the year before that was the Summer of the Wolf. So that was the first 2 times we had done like a theme. So it didn't really fit the last couple of years. So yeah, this is perfect.
Yeah, and also I haven't seen that movie in a while, actually. So
no, it's been quite some time. It seems like remember they made a sequel to it, and
I never saw it.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, and it seems like at the time I was like, oh, I need to go watch the original, before I go watch that because it had been a while. So I watched the original, and then I never saw the sequel. I was like, you know what? They probably can't do any better than that. I'm not going to see it. But I'll get around to it at some point. But yeah, that's not the point. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Another good pull. Then, speaking of cool things, you'll definitely want to make sure that you join us on Patreon by the month of July, because that next library segment that Professor has chosen to do, the original radio drama on vinyl, H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds. So I'm really looking forward to discussing that one and all the drama behind that radio drama, right, Smoke?
Yeah, because there's hell, we could do a full regular episode of the podcast and have at least an hour and a half, if not more, to talk about it. But we'll condense it down for now into this into the library segment. So yeah, definitely have to join Patreon though to get that.
I'm blanking on his. I know it's by H.G. Wells, but I'm blanking on the actor that did that.
Oh, Orson Welles.
Orson Welles. Yeah, Orson Welles. Yeah, that was a whole thing. So yeah, I'm looking forward to discussing that. And that's a maybe we'll even splice in some clips of the radio drama on that one. That'll be pretty cool for people to listen to.
Why fuss and fret about dinner? Why not have it right here? Yes, this drive-in offers everyone in the family a real picnic treat for dinner. We've got delicious sandwiches with all the trimmings and your other dinner favorites, plus whatever you want to drink, hot or cold. Come early before the show starts, or eat while you're being entertained, or at intermission time. So why fuss? Give your family a tasty dinner at this drive-in.
Right after that, over on our YouTube channel, the next one in our Grindhouse Gutter series, Grindhouse Gutter number 13, lucky number 13. Another perfect selection by the Professor. 2019, After the Fall of New York from 1983.
Yeah, that's another. We're going to dip back into the world of Italian post-apocalyptic movies, as we already have done at least a few times. One on with 1990, The Bronx Warriors of Grindhouse, I believe. And then what else did we do? We did another one on something else, but I don't remember what it was.
We've got so many different damn series going on now. I forget half of what we've done at this point. So, that definitely the Bronx Warriors for sure. That definitely fits the bill. That would have fit perfectly here on the Summer Disaster.
Yeah.
In a sense of like the setting, even though that's got a weird setting on that one, because it's not necessarily post-apocalyptic, but it's definitely in some like dreary future, right?
Well, yeah, well, you could say that it was shot in the Bronx, the way the Bronx looked at the time, which was kind of post-apocalyptic.
Yeah, which is why we get a whole series of these types of movies, right?
Yeah. So it's supposed to have been after a nuclear war of some sort or whatever, but it was just basically the Bronx in the 80s at the time. It was.
Then we move back over to the regular podcast. Episode 168 will be our latest Spook Show Spotlight. And I thought this would be kind of a cool, appropriate, obviously, thing to talk about and just have some fun with. It's just going to be our favorite disaster movies. And not necessarily ones that we're doing here for the Spook Show series, because trust me, there's tons and tons of movies that you would classify as a disaster movie that we're not touching. So that'll be kind of an opportunity to, like, you know, if you've enjoyed what we've done up to this point and what's coming after, these are some other ones that we can throw at you that we all really enjoyed. So you got any that instantly come to mind, Donnie, that we're probably not talking about that you might
man, caught me on a
one that instantly comes to mind now that I kind of wanted to get on here somewhere that just didn't work was Twister. Because, you know, if you're just thinking of a disaster movie, right? Like, but there was a time period there it came and went. Like, there was a bunch in the 70s, and then there was a bunch again in the 90s and early 2000s. Then it kind of dried up again. You know, as far as like that late 90s time period, you had Armageddon, Volcano, Dante's Peak, all of those type of movies, Twister, all those types of movies came out around that same time period. So, like, a lot of those that we're not getting to will be ones worth discussing there.
And I think one of the big ones, like Towering Inferno.
Yeah, those are those ones of the 70s where there was like a huge run on these type of movies that they were just cranking them out left and right, and then it just kind of dried up. It's weird how it kind of comes in droves like that.
I would probably say The Birds.
That's good, because I was mentioning ecological disasters. Yeah. I don't think we covered any. Pretty sure we haven't scheduled any ecological type disaster movies on this or summer disaster, like The Swarm or
there is one kind of like that coming up, and we'll talk about it here in just a second. But yeah, I get what you're saying. We haven't touched in too many of those type of titles. To that, episode 169 the following week we're going to be talking about, and this was a wild card choice. It just luck of the draw, spin of the wheel. 28 Weeks Later from 2007. Now that's the sequel to 28 Days Later, which came out in 2003, and we talked about that all the way back in episode 27. So we're finally getting back around to the sequel to that in 28 Weeks Later. Now it's probably been since damn near 2007 since I watched it, so I'm looking forward to that.
I started it and then I never finished it for some reason. So it'll kind of be like fresh for me. I don't remember how far into it I got.
My recollection is it's not as good as 28 Days Later, but it's pretty good. And
I remember watching it. It's been a while, you know.
And they haven't made any more since then, but it seems like I read somewhere, like just in the last few months, that they are talking about finally getting around to 28 Months Later. Because, you know, that had been rumored right after that one had come out, that eventually they do, you know, 28 months, but maybe we'll see that. Who knows? The following week, episode 170, and this is what I was talking about, like ecological disaster, right? Deepwater Horizon from 2016. And that is another one that's going to be replacing what would have been cannon fodder. So that one is that one's about like an oil spill or something, right? The Deepwater Horizon.
Yeah, it's like an oil rig off the coast. I think it's a true story.
Yeah, pretty sure it was. Yeah. So there's your ecological disaster right there. It's an oil spill. So there you go. Once again, right after that, we're going to be doing the next installment of Crapsterpiece Theater, but we don't even have the nominees yet, so we can't even. Lord knows what you'll have in store for us there. Right after that, we'll go to episode 171, and this is Will's pick, and this is a big one. It really is probably arguably the biggest one that we will do here as far as like big titles.
Yeah.
He chose The Thing from 1982.
That's a great pick. Great pick.
That's a different disaster on a whole other level, right, Smoke?
Yeah. Yeah, that's on a cosmic horror level, you might say.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to. Now, wait a minute. Unless I'm blanking, that's not the first John Carpenter movie we've done, is it?
We still haven't done the original Halloween, have we?
No.
or
we have not. No, that would be the first.
I think it is.
That's to be 170 episodes in, and this is the first.
So not only we're getting around to some Lucio Fulci, but we're getting around to John Carpenter. Wow.
I mean, hell, it wasn't too long ago that we did. I mean, was it Night of the Living Dead, the first George Romero movie we did? And that was fairly later on into the.
That was 101.
Well, I take that back. We did do Creepshow. We did Creepshow early on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true.
That's not like full on Romero. It is, but it ain't. You know what I mean? Like
Stephen King, Romero.
It counts. You know,
but conglomeration of people in that.
And since then, we've done the original Dawn of the Dead and everything. But yeah, wow, it just dawned on me that. Pretty sure that's the first John Carpenter movie that we're.
It's not. Well, okay, so it's not the first. Well, it would be the first John Carpenter directed movie because he was the composer of the Halloween. Well, I mean, obviously, he was.
There's that connection. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, there's that connection, but so not the first movie, but it would be
his first movie, and then we will have over on Patreon once again at the beginning of August. We'll have our next library segment. Now, Smoke hasn't dug through the library far enough in advance yet on that one. So you want to stay tuned to patreon.com/AASpookshow. And, of course, AASpookshow.com. We'll let you know what that selection is going to be once we get to the beginning of August. But rest assured, Smoke will pick something awesome, right?
Oh, yeah. It'll be something cool.
Yeah, always is. Episode 172, we're coming down the home stretch. Our latest Cult Corner. This is going to be awesome. Snakes on a Plane from 2006.
Yeah.
I think that's a perfect Cult Corner selection for this type of series, though, right? Snakes on a Plane.
And amazingly enough, a lot of these movies that I haven't seen in forever.
Yeah.
So
you're probably right on that one as well. It's probably been since 2006 or 7 since I've seen it myself. So
I haven't seen it since it came out.
Other than seeing like the made-for-TV clips, like the made-for-TV version clips of it where like they dub over Samuel L. Jackson's dialogue. It's hilarious. I'm sure we'll get into that on that episode because it is hilarious. Our last Grindhouse Gutter of the Spookshow Summer Disaster will come out in the month of August. And Smoke, you chose that one as well. Another fine pick, Night of the Comet from 1984.
Yeah, that's a fun movie. It's sort of a personal favorite of mine. I mean, it's no masterpiece, but I mean, it is great. Another post-apocalyptic one. We get around a lot of those here with the Summer Disaster because they're so plentiful for one thing, and I mean, post-apocalyptic is pretty damn much a disaster, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. In most of these cases, the disaster has already happened, and now you're dealing with in those kind of movies. But still, I think it fits the criteria. We're not quite done just yet, though. The last movie that we will do as far as on the podcast will be episode 173. It's my choice, and I decided to go with Dawn of the Dead 2004. We've already done the original, so I figured this is a perfect opportunity to go ahead and get the remake out of the way. It's been a while since I've seen it, so I'm really looking forward to checking that again. Have you guys, I'm sure both of you guys have seen that one, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it, but again, that's not, I mean, okay, I might have seen that one more recently than some of the other titles, but it's still been a number of years since I've seen the remake of that one as well. So, yeah, none of these movies that we picked so far have been ones that are in recent memory, so that'll be, I'm looking forward to all the ones we got coming up.
And the very last movie... How appropriate that we are going to end it with this, because that Dawn of the Dead from 2004, that's going to be the last movie on the podcast. But the very last taste in our mouth of the Spookshow Summer Disaster will probably be enough to say, you know what, I'm done with this shit. This is it. Video Vortex number 4 in the month of August. Sharknado: The Fourth Awakens. That's right, we're skipping Sharknado 1, 2, and 3. Fuck them. We're going straight to Sharknado 4. Donnie, what do you think?
I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not
it was a random wheel spin that landed us there. So, what a nice kick in the nuts right at the end of all of it. You know what I mean?
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's just, yeah. I mean, you know what you're getting, and you don't. I mean, this is probably better suited for Craps a Piece Theater, but
I can guarantee. Look, I know the first Sharknado has been nominated, I think, at least twice on Crapster Piece, and it just hasn't won.
Yeah.
So it's only a matter of time before one of those movies lands on Crapster Piece. But yeah,
have y'all seen the Sharknado movies before?
I've seen the first 2, maybe 3, and then that's where I had to tap. So I haven't. I haven't seen.
I saw the first thing, and that was it for me. I was like, ah.
So yeah, if you know the premise. It's a tornado with sharks in it. That's all you need to know. So it's not like we have to watch 1, 2, and 3 to set up the fourth one. So, yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to that. To be honest with you, I think it's going to be fun.
Sharks in these motherfucking tornadoes.
Now you're just mixing everything up. And then we will officially wrap it up with our wrap-up episode on episode 174. And like I said earlier, that'll come out on August 21st. So that will be the bitter end of the Spookshow Summer Disaster. So, Donnie, out of everything we just discussed, what do you think you're looking the most forward to checking out over the next couple months?
I would say, man, that's really tough. I would say, if we're talking Grindhouse, probably Zombie, 1979 from Grindhouse Gutter. Yeah. If you haven't checked it out on YouTube, you definitely should recommend it.
I know I chose Godzilla King of the Monsters, and I chose the Dawn of the Dead remake. But I'm probably, out of all these, I'm probably the one I'm looking forward to the most, the single one, probably The Thing. Because it's been a while since I watched it, and that's just one of my favorite horror movies, period. So I'm probably looking forward to that.
Well, will it take over the number one spot? We'll see. I don't know what the number one spot is held by right now as far as all of our combined ratings.
That's a good question.
We've got I remember Jaws, I think, was like 4 3/4 across the board. But yeah, so there you go. That's the preview. That's everything, pretty much everything that we have lined up. Sans one Library of the Professor segment that he hasn't chose quite yet, and couple, at least one Crapster Piece Theater, I believe, that will be voted on. So, no, 2. I'm sorry, 2.
2 of them.
The one for July and the one for August haven't been decided. So, outside of that, there's the whole slate. So, feel free to message us and let us know what you think of the lineup. what you're most looking forward to. And if you email us or message us or whatever, we'll read it on the next episode. So we encourage you to go over to aaspookshow.com. That's the center of the Spook Show universe. You can find our podcast archives. That'll link you over to our YouTube channel with all those series that we've been talking about. So, and of course, we encourage you to go to patreon.com/aaspookshow. So lots of stuff coming up this summer. Go ahead and get your suntan lotion out and get ready for the radiation from the hellfire that is going to be Spookshow Summer Disaster. So for Will, Donnie, Professor Smoke, I'm Josh. We are the All-American Spook Show, and here's to an awesome summer.
So goodbye, everybody, and remember, please, for the next day or so, the terrible lesson you learned tonight.